Great. We are it's going through a very strategic time in our life where we are facing a lot of challenges in the society that ultimately we need to work hard to make sure that we can meet the SDG targets to address most of these challenges, which the food challenge is one of them. You know, some of the statistics we've gone through it. 1 in 5 deaths occurring because of malnutrition. Over 1.9 billion people currently overweight and obese. Over 900 people hungry. And then we're wasting over 1.3 billion tons of food. If food waste is a country to be the third largest emitter of greenhouse gas, following USA and China. So we just need to do something about this. Not only are we wasting, we're also having people going hungry. We're having people dying. That means that our food system is currently not working for us. And this is why STFC Food Network was set up in place to really help to see how technology can help address these challenges. And at Intellidigest, we are addressing these challenges through capacity building and also through technology innovation. With regards to capacity building, we focus on key areas such as sustainable food production, food safety and security, life cycle analysis and continuous improvement, then consumer behavior and dietary choice. We'll have a webinar coming up on June 18th, looking at consumer behavior and dietary choice. And that is very timely with the World Sustainable Gastronomy Day, which is taking place on June 18th. We really encourage you to join us on that day, as we're also going to be launching the Global Food Waste Loss and Tracker. So for us, there is need to bring together capacity building as well as technology innovations to address the global food waste challenge. Not only are we looking into these different enabling technologies to address this challenge, such as enzyme engineering, IoT, building on sensors and photonics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, green chemistry, blockchain, and quantum computing. We also making sure that as we develop these technologies, we build it on the 6 P's of sustainability, which is purpose, people, planet, partnership, peace. And once we do all these initial P's right, then we're definitely going to be profitable as a business. So that is for us at Intellidigest the key approach we're taking to address these challenges. Bringing in capacity building, building on extensive research work and engagement we have within the food system, as well as developing innovative technologies, but developing them in the most sustainable way. Like thinking about what's the end of life of our products? How does our products affect the wider society? How is people working with us benefiting from the technologies that we develop? These are the key questions we ask ourselves as we develop this technology, making sure that we're doing that in the most sustainable way possible. So one of our solutions, which is also the key engagement with STFC on this project, is a nature-inspired robot. We call it iDigest. The iDigest can be put anywhere the food waste is produced. It proactively uses the embedded sensors in the system to analyze the food waste. And because we understand the composition of the food waste, the protein, carbohydrate, and lipid content, we're able to use enzymatic biocatalysis, optimize the enzyme dose, break down that food waste, complex food waste, into simple molecules that can then be used back into the food system. Now, these sustainable chemicals can be used as bionutrients, as biostimulants, and also sustainable packaging to be used in things like insect farms, hydroponics, cellular protein, and ultimately some of the saccharides present in the food waste can then be used in circular packaging. And this simply means that when you produce food, when you package food, even if the packaging is messed up and dented, it can be put back into the iDigest unit and new materials created from there. A complete circular economy that prevents issues we have around the packaging today. So these are the kind of things we want to solve to make the food system more sustainable. We're also working on a system that can extend the shelf life of agri-food products. In the UK here, we're working with Marriott Hotel to look at using this to extend the shelf life of products in that they've already prepared. But also there's a great opportunity, especially with local markets in developing nations, to use this to extend the shelf life of agri-food products. We're going to be launching this food waste tracker, food loss and waste tracker on June 18. We really encourage you to join us. If you check our website, you see the link, join us for the launch. And this is also an output of the work we've done with STFC project. Now, I'm just going to highlight also the fact that we do work from farm to fork. So we do support stakeholders in the food system from farm to fork. And we work across different functions in terms of developing technologies, providing, capacity building, and also extensive research, building our collaboration with different stakeholders. We work across different regions in Africa, Europe, America, and Asia, and we're building collaborations, building networks to ensure that we can transfer the technologies we've developed and the knowledge we've also acquired over time to different regions where it's very much needed. And to do that, we've developed a framework to enable us to deliver that. And I'm very much happy to discuss this in detail with anyone who is interested to know more about it. But this is enabling us engage with different international institutes that are currently interested in what we're doing to deliver a very impactful approach to addressing on a regional level, on a national level, the food system challenges. Now, what is this STFC project that we've worked on? The STFC project was trying to address these challenges we have in our food system, which led to the topic towards a more resilient and sustainable food system devoid of waste. There is no better time for us to talk about resiliency in the food system as a point where we are with the COVID-19 pandemic. COVID-19 struck and we went into our shops and we couldn't see food to buy in the shops. It simply means that that is a challenge. If our food systems are not resilient, then we need to define a way to make our food system more resilient. If we can solve the food security problem, we need to solve the food sustainability problem, which is all about waste. Then how do we really tackle these key issues that we have? And this is what this project was trying to do. We tried to, by developing this project, we looked into key areas, such as, first of all, understanding where exactly do we have this food waste and how do we address the food waste problem. And then looking at how do we recover nutrients from this food waste using the nature-inspired robot, Intellidigest. And also, how do we apply these nutrients to soil, to hydroponics, or as a biostimulant to soil to grow nutrient-dense fruits and vegetables. And also to validate that the crop that we produce using these nutrients have a better quality and have a better shelf life than crops grown with synthetic fertilizers. We also try to look at consumer perception of the crop. How do the wider populace who are going to use this product really perceive using recovered nutrients for growing the crops that they consume? And also, fundamental for us to be able to use this Intellidigest nature-inspired robots anywhere, we want to make sure that that material, we understand, we are able to characterize the material that comes into the system to proactively process that material and then create new products from it. So those are the key areas that we looked at in this project. And, we did work with amazing investigators in this project, spanning from different universities and also from STFC Food Network. So we had Dr. Eliza Lopez-Capel from Newcastle University, Harry Langford from CHAP, Dr. Lydia M.J. Smith from Innovation Farm and EA Innovation Hub, and also Dr. Ruben Sakrabani from Cranfield University. And the team that worked with us from the STFC part is, they include Dr. Jensen, who was actually leading the STFC activity, Dr. Sarah Rogers from the Center for Laser Facility, and Dr. Claire Pizzi also from STFC. And we also did work with STFC Daphne platform. So bringing all these amazing investigators meant that we had so much resource to tap into to define how we effectively tackle these key areas that we've pointed out and how people are leading each of these aspects of the project. Now, looking at the characterization, we are looking at infrared spectroscopy as an approach to analyze the material as it comes into the system. One of the key targets was to be able to establish a low-cost infrared sensor, understanding the spectra at which these materials food materials can be characterized so that we can determine the carbohydrate, lipid, and protein concentration in these materials. And then based on that, identify the relevant sensor which we can use there. We're able to work with Sarah and Catherine from the Center for Laser Facility, and we're able to identify other collaborators like CPAC in Strathclyde University we can work more closely with. And based on that, we carried out a feasibility study looking at these materials and also understanding the spectra which they have found. And we were able to make very good progress to be able to identify the different potential sensors we can use for it. This has also enabled us to engage with NPL at the moment, looking at establishing a more robust database for this characterization. So this initial feasibility study through the STFC in collaboration with CPAC has enabled us to move on now to do some more work on the database with NPO, and it's also enabling us to do more work with CPACs because we've already been approved for an infrared sensor to be put within our facility to continue to monitor this and generate more data which will feed into the database. So it's all about bringing these resources together and making these different establishments, high-tech focused establishments, support this research to make us proactively characterize materials coming into the system, and based on that, optimize the enzyme dose to break down those food waste and create this sustainable chemical. We've also worked with Jens from STFC Center to also use the high performance power computing of Benefi to look at how we can produce an economic and logistics model that will help us in identifying the locations of where these food wastes are and how we can map the collection, the location and the processing and then the collection of this output, and how we can actually map the distribution of the output to local farmers who can then use it in their production. So ultimately, we've been able to make good progress on this, and also generate a lot of synthetic data to prove that the model is going to be viable. And this is something that we'll continue to develop over time. Through this project, we've also been able to apply for an EU funding as well as an Innovate UK funding to be able to take this forward. As part of the project, one of the areas was to trial the nutrients in hydroponics and also in soy. So CHAP was leading this with support from Harry from CHAP, leading this part of the project, looking at using the nutrients which we supply to them to grow nutrient-dense fruits and vegetables. So a lot of test analysis has been done, trying to see the content of the nutrient and also the usability of that nutrient in growing fruits and vegetables using hydroponics, as well as using it as a biostimulant in soy. And there's been a lot of positive output from there, which we're going to be building on, and also improving the availability of nutrients in the output for the fruits and vegetable, for the uptake of the fruits and vegetable. So this has been a very excellent support and collaboration through this STFC project, working with CHAP to look into this. And I think based on that, we also built a lot of collaboration and being able to engage with CHAP in applying for the EU fund and Innovate UK fund, which we are keeping our fingers crossed is going to be successful. We've also looked at impact of this particular project. How is it having a wider impact in the society? Now, when we look at inputs that we make to actually growing fruits and vegetables, that is a way of improving agricultural inputs. So rather than depending on synthetic fertilizers, we're able to use more organic products to grow nutrient-dense fruits and vegetables, as well as alternative proteins, because if the bionutrients are used in insect farms and it's easier to grow insects and easier to grow more quality insects, then it's really an advantage with alternative protein, as well as the beta glucans which we've identified in this nutrient helps to boost the immunity of fish, and we're looking at the adoption of this in fish farm. So there's a lot of application and potential in terms of input into the farming system. It also helped in control predictable productivity. One of the key things we have today is that the key challenges we have in the food system is that we do a lot of food production, hoping that there's a market for it, there's a place we're going to sell it. Our supermarkets source fruits in large volumes, large quantity, believing that we are all going to come to the shop and buy it. And what we want to see is a future whereby there's demand and supply pushing the grain of fruits, food in the future, so that we don't have these excesses that usually go to waste. So cutting off waste in the food system, having a more proactive approach to the way we grow our food, so that we ensure that we're actually growing food because we understand the nutrient gap which we have, and we're growing food that will help us address those nutrient gap and help us live a healthier and better life. And this is where the last impact comes in: more nutritious, fresher, long-lasting fruits and vegetables made available to the wider society, so that everyone can have access to this nutritious food and healthy food, so that more people can eat fruits and vegetables, which really helps balance our diet. Now, this solution is going to have huge impact on the SDG, which we did start with the Sustainable Development Goals. No poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, clean sanitation, decent work and economic growth, industrial innovation, reducing inequalities, sustainable cities. Ultimately, responsible consumption and production is very important. Cutting off food waste from the supply chain. Ensuring that over 8% greenhouse gas emission from food waste can be cut off, addressing the issue of food waste contributing to climate action, improving life on land, improving life underwater, if we can have more sustainable packaging. So there's a lot that the solution has to do in terms of addressing most of the SDG targets. Now, also out of this project, we were able to look into this food waste tracker, and we try to see how this food waste tracker, because we're able to then use the Daphne platform to do this high performance parallel computing, understand the locations where this food waste tracker are placed, and how this food waste, where the food waste are located and food loss are located, and how we can use the tracking to address the food loss and waste challenge, and also create wider opportunity, connecting with other existing platforms in the ecosystem to really address the food waste and food loss challenge. So we looked at different organizations whom this food loss and waste tracker could have an impact on, like households, local market farmers, institutions, and government. We also drilled more into the details of how this food loss and waste tracker could benefit each of these key individuals or stakeholders. And we know that definitely it's going to create awareness. People are going to become more conscious. Oh my goodness, I actually waste this on daily basis. This is huge. I need to really address this problem. And also with that, they can start looking at how do they monitor and reduce their food waste, because once they see the data, they can then start looking at where they can make changes. How can they save money? Because the food loss and waste tracker is going to show them the economic cost of actually wasting food, whether it's surplus food, whether it's edible food or inedible food. The fact that it's being wasted simply means that they're losing money, and they shouldn't actually be wasting that food in the first place. And ultimately, by creating a wider ecosystem where people can actually shop local, more importantly, because we have this platform where we supply nutrients, bionutrients to farmers, we can then help the farmers to sell their products back to the wider society, and also help people to share surplus food, such that they can get voluntary carbon credit for the surplus food they have been able to share, rather than rather than throwing away in the first place and creating a nuisance for the society, which will ultimately, by shopping local, by eating more healthy food, improve their health. We also, looked at what benefit is going to be to the local market, supermarkets. It just creates more customer loyalty. It creates a wider understanding of the challenge and helps them to mitigate it. Now, how is this going to be beneficial to the farmer? The farmer can hopefully, local. What we want to see is future local urban farmers springing up in our societies just because they have access to bionutrients, biostimulants to help them grow more organic, nutrient-dense fruits and vegetable and alternative protein. So that simply means that we will have more of this local shopping, improved land use, by putting back these nutrients in the soil, and also increasing revenue for the farmers ultimately. Then the institutions that we do work with, looking at institutions like DEFRA, UNFA, or UNFCCC, they are working towards improving the food system, making more food available to the wider society, reducing greenhouse gas emission, targeted awareness, improve resource recovery. By engaging in this food loss and waste tracker, by engaging in the Intellidigest unit, we'll be supporting them to actually meet most of their targets and even possible exceed them. So currently, we know that the food loss and waste tracker has been, massively supported by STFC through the Benefi platform, and we also currently working with some international organizations looking at not just delivering this in the UK and Europe, but also more importantly in the regions where there's absolutely no data at all. In Africa, in Asia, there are areas where there's no data, which has been shown by the UNEP report. We want to be able to get the solutions there. And the good thing is that STFC has got presence in Africa, it's got presence in Asia, and we want to all continue to leverage those network and engagement to reach out to more societies and deliver this this impact to addressing the global food sustainability challenge. Now, the time to act is definitely now. The Secretary General of United Nations did mention that it's unacceptable that hunger is on the rise at a time when the world wastes more than 1 billion tons of food every year. It is time to change how we produce and consume, including to reduce greenhouse gas emission. Transforming food system is crucial for delivering all the sustainable development goals. As a human family, a world free of hunger is our imperative. So this is kind of a call to action for every one of us to say, we just need to do something to make sure that everyone should be able to have access to good food and not people going hungry, not people being malnourished, not people being undernourished, but everyone really having access to a balanced diet, a healthy meal. And that ultimately is going to affect most part of our society. We're going to live a healthy life, have less people going to hospital, less people becoming sick, and hopefully a more prosperous society. So yeah, the call to action is here. We need to expedite action as we count down to 2030. We've got 9 years to go, and we really need to do something to address not just the climate action, but to end hunger and make food available to the wider society. Well, thank you very much for listening.